Hello, everyone. Welcome to our fireside chat with AmirAli Talasaz, the co-founder and president of Guardant Health. My name is Pejman Nozad. I'm one of the partners at Pear Ventures. We are an early stage technology firm. We invest in across all sectors of technology, but the earliest you can think of, if you're starting a company, you have an idea in your garage, Pear is your best partners. Our investment team have started and sold 8 companies to Facebook, Cisco, Dropbox, Yahoo, Instacart. Our company is now worth close to $100 billion. Our most notable investments are Guardant Health, which went public a few years ago, and DoorDash recently. And we look forward to hearing from you if you're starting a company. But today is for AmirAli, my dear friend for many years. And AmirAli, welcome. Thank you so much. I know running a public company, it's not easy, and making time at your lunchtime means a lot. I want to start by what I actually shared yesterday. I remember we were at a dinner table and there were a bunch of founders around the table, and I asked, what are the metrics that are important for you? And people said number of the users. The other one says, oh, the revenue model. And when it came to your turn, you said, we only have one metric, and that is how many lives we save per day. And I think it was a pause, and I think that was the end of the conversation. I think you are such a mission-driven founders, and I always tell my team that when I meet you, it's just very hard the next few days because your ambition and what you do at Guardant Health is just really extraordinary. So I just want to thank you on behalf of everybody who's in this business. I think what you do, and Helmi and the entire team, is just so important. But enough of me and my voice saying, I want to start by you describing, I have so many questions about your past and how you got to biotech, but maybe for the benefit of the audience, explain what Guardant Health is and what you do and a few of your products.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pejman John. It's good to meet you again. And thanks for everybody who joined this kind of virtual conversation. Hopefully you get something useful out of it. The social impact is what drives me and many other management team members at Guardant Health. That's the single thing that we focus on. And we believe as long as you do good for your patients, which in our case are our customers, that the rest would come. Let's talk about Guardant Health. So we are the market-leading company in a field which is called liquid biopsy. Effectively, what we do is we are a diagnostic company in oncology space, in cancer space. And our flagship product can provide information to physicians to treat the patients with the right therapy. So with a simple blood test, just 2 tubes of blood, we are finding tumor signatures in blood. And based on those signatures, actually, we can tell doctor and the oncologist what treatment works better and what treatment does not work anymore. This was the thing that, like, classically you could have done just based on tumor tissue biopsy. Like before liquid biopsy days in a lung cancer patient, when you want to get this information, you needed to do a biopsy, $14,000 cost. 19 to 20% of people experience some severe adverse events, and just about 1% mortality rate even. And all that got replaced with a simple blood test. So that's our flagship product, the market that we are leading. But since beginning at Guardant, actually, we had this mission that with a simple blood test during your annual checkup, we want to help the patient to guard their body against this disease. If there are any early signs of cancer in the body, we want to flag that. And we believe that could save many, many lives. So our flagship product is for patients who do have cancer right now for treatment selection. But we are going in this journey. In fact, actually today, as we speak, we just launched a new product, which is for cancer survivors, patients with early stage disease who went through surgery, or they are cancer survivors, but they're living with the fear of relapse of their disease. And we tell them, is their cancer back or not? And we have such a high specificity that if we say we are seeing the signatures of cancer in blood, 100% of cases within few weeks to few months, the cancer would come back. And that has a lot of utility to, attack the cancer again very early on and improve the outcomes. And also we are taking this kind of test for early cancer screening. We are in the last inning of running a 10,000 prospective patient screening study that basically with a simple blood test, we are telling patients, do they have colon cancer or not? If that study is successful, we believe we are going to get the regulatory approval and reimbursement. And, I promise you, not in very far in future, in fact, in very soon, many people can see just blood tests for early cancer detection when they see their physician.
That's extraordinary. I think it's just, it's amazing what you have achieved. Can you tell about the technology? How did you start? I want to talk about Guardant Health, and I know your career before Guardant Health is as important also, and especially how did you get to the world of biotech and genomics? But how did you start Guardant Health with Helmy Al-Touhi, and where was the technology? Because I know it, but it's very important for audience, how you built this and the technology from the beginning, and how do you approach that?
So it's interesting, the science of what I mentioned, these tumor signatures in blood, we knew that science since 1948. Like we knew there are some tumor DNA in circulation of cancer patients. That was not a new science. But what was missing was a technology that can find those rare tumor-derived DNA molecules in the background and see an ocean of other DNA molecules which are free floating in our body. So basically we need a technology with higher accuracy, higher sensitivity and specificity. That was a gap. And the contribution of Guardant was through innovations that we did. Actually, we increased the accuracy of some of the genomic analysis tools like sequencing technologies by orders of magnitude. So we could find these rare biomarkers in circulation with very, very high accuracy. There were a lot of actually synergy between what we achieved here with what happened in digital telecommunication. That's why we named our technology, in fact, digital sequencing. The same kind of ideas of digital communication that, you code a packet of information, it goes through transmission line, gets noisy, different kind of path could generate different kind of issues to your signal. And then you decode your signal at the receiver side, you model the noise based on what happens. And then basically you clean up the signal accordingly. We used similar kind of concepts in molecular biology. We are coding the molecules, we are tagging them in a chemical way, biochemical way, but effectively the same concept of digital telecommunication have came to sequencing world, biology world, and as a result of that, we saw a huge increase in the accuracy of the analysis, and as a result, we can find these rare signals. All that was kind of connected to the background that we had, and my co-founder Helmy. In fact, our PhDs was in electrical engineering.
And that's my question. So let's talk about it. You grew up in Iran, you went to the prestigious Sharif University, and you came to Stanford, got your master, and your PhD was in electrical engineering. And same as my partner, Mar Hershenson, who got her PhD in Double E. How did you get to the role of genomics and actually biotech from electrical engineering?
So back when I was in high school, remember people who got their degree in Iran, you have a chance of, going through like maths and physics versus kind of biology. And if you want to go toward MD route. And I didn't make that decision until I was on the fourth grade, the last grade of high school. I was in math and physics, but in parallel, I was reading biology. But I convinced myself that, in fact, I don't like to be a doctor. And I took the entrance exam for math and physics. I never opened any biology book till I came to US. In fact, I got admission from Stanford, and my dream was to come here and work as a circuit designer. In fact, a RF circuit designer. I came in United States in 2001, and that was the time that actually there were a lot of market adjustments in the telecommunication phase, and many of the professors at Stanford who used to get a bunch of donations from industry and a bunch of projects were getting defined by industrial partners, they were getting less and less actually funding. Many of them, they were not writing grants for years, and they had to go and restart writing grants to get funding from public resources or governmental agency. I got hit during that period of time. So if I tell you I planned to come to biotech, I'm not truthful. In fact, I was not sure what's going to happen to me. I was working in the physics department and working on a project with an RF professor that I really enjoyed to see if the funding is going to come or not. And I have to say I should give a lot of credit to one of my mentors, actually Mostafa Ronadi, who when I was in Iran talked to me about the field of biotech, that biotech and engineering could revolutionize biology, but still biotech was not my thing when I came to US. But after a year at Stanford, I got introduced to the head of Stanford Genome Technology Center, Ron Davis, and Mostafa was working at Stanford Genome Technology Center. And fast forward, like now, 19 years after that, I would say that was one of the best lucks that happened in my life. And the life actually has changed, and I have huge appreciation of that from my advisor, Ron Davis, Mostafa Ronati, who helped me a lot during the early days of my career and still does. But I really got trained at the interface of engineering and genetics. And that opened up a lot of niche opportunities to bring a bunch of engineering concepts into genomics. So maybe
when you say you trained, were you at Stanford you trained, or was just outside study, or the first job you got? Can you open it up? You said you got trained in genomics and engineering.
So although my program was in electrical engineering, since 2002 till 2008 that I left Stanford, I was working in Genome Technology Center. I remember early days when I was dealing with my professor, Ron Davis, I couldn't understand his language. There were even language barriers for me to understand what he was talking about. Mostafa was helping me tremendously. Many of it was book reading, finding the common word that he was using and using dictionary to understand what this guy is telling me. So I got kind of forced into this field. But then through the ecosystem, the right set of people around myself, and a lot of hard work and helped by many mentors, I kind of slowly got good at it.
No, I think you are excellent at it. So going back, I want to go back to Guardant. Can you talk about the business model? How does Guardant make money?
Yeah, sure. So there are two sets of actually customers we have. One are oncologists who are basically managing patients. They're ordering our tests, the suite of tests that we have clinically. And we go after the insurance, and basically we get paid by charging the insurance. That's the majority of our clinical business today in the United States. Then also we have some self-pay patients internationally. We are in over 50 countries that basically, they have access to the test as well. The second sector is on the biopharma side. Not only we can help the patients to get the right treatment, we can help the biopharmaceutical companies to understand the mechanism of action of their drugs better. And also they can find the right patients for their clinical trials much faster and much at higher quality. So a good fraction of our business is also on the biopharma side. And those are through just sample testing or different kind of contracts for diagnostic development, which is typically bundled with their drug approvals.
Very interesting. If you fast forward to year 2031 instead of 2021, where do you see Guardant Health in the world of cancer? First, we fight for cancer, and where does Guardant Health fit, or what is a dream for you about Guardant Health in 10 years?
Our tagline and our mission is conquering this disease with data. And that's what we believe since early days. And I still believe in it. I tell you, in 2030, you're gonna see a major bend in the curve of cancer mortality. And not all contribution by Guardant Health, but by the ecosystem that companies like Guardant Health would really help. In fact, we have a partnership with few pharmaceutical companies and academic centers, and we committed in 5 years, and actually already we are a year into it, so effectively in 4 years, we are gonna double up the 5-year survival of lung cancer through different diagnostic and therapeutic activities that we are doing. And we are one of the major contributors of that alliance. So we believe in that, and we are putting our credibility online here. But again, it's not just Guardant Health. There are many companies with the shared mission. And I tell you, finally, we are going to bend the mortality rate of this disease.
Well, thank you for doing it for the world, AmirAli. I'd like to switch to you personally. For me, it's astonishing that how a scientist, a PhD in Double E, become such an amazing operator. I mean, you're not only the co-founder, understanding tech, but you're the president and running the operation of a public company. Can you talk about how you train yourself? What did you do to become an operator as well as a scientist at the same time and running a public company?
So you need to have a huge hunger and appetite to scale and grow. If you think, I bet you, if you think you got it and you're at the end of your game, I would tell you most probably you're not going to be leading a tens of billions of dollar market cap company. Nobody in the day one is ready for all chapters of the company ahead of herself or himself. So one thing that, in fact, at Guardant, we really believe in very strongly is intellectual humility. That's part of the DNA of our management team and the way we work here. And the way that gets implemented here in your question is be comfortable that you don't know everything, but also do not get settled that you don't know everything, and have a huge appetite for self-development and growth. There are many mechanisms, reading books, but one thing that I always benefit from, and I believe in it very strongly, is having a set of trusted mentors around yourself. I always had mentors since early days. Still, I do have a mentor. And just the type of mentor has changed. When I scale the team of mentors that I have, and I always benefited from having a trusted set of network behind me. I would tell you, there are many people in this valley that they are just interested to help you, us, all of us to grow and go to the next level. There are people who are maybe a year or two ahead of us in terms of their cycle of career. And a bunch of them are interested just to help the founders.
No, I agree. I actually believe one of the essence and DNA of Silicon Valley as a whole is the ability and the willingness of people to help others, mentoring it without any expectation. So I think that's really magical, and I've been really beneficiary of it. My partner, Mar Hershenson, came to your IPO, and it was an amazing day for all of us. You and Helmi took the company public. And she called me right after. And the very first thing she said, Pejman, I wish you were here interacting with the rest of the team. And if you think Amir Ali and Helmi are exceptional entrepreneurs, you should talk to their CFO or chief marketing officer or chief medical officer. They are just really world-class. And I think you cannot build a massive, big public company if you don't have world-class people. And team building is just very important, especially in the early days. Can you share some of your best practices and how did you build such an amazing team? And how do you do that inside a biotech company in this scale?
So first you have to identify the DNA of the corporate you want to develop. I look at it as a living organism, right? So you need to understand the mode of operation of that living organism. So for Guardant, this intellectual humility was very important. So in fact, when we are interviewing leadership positions, one thing that we tried never to sacrifice or put aside was, hey, could this person fit in the group, but fit because he or she has intellectual humility or not? And I tell you, like, even couple of cases, like we are 1,000+ people organization, and if I say every time actually we stick to that, I'm not truthful, even at the senior leadership team. But the couple of cases that we went against it, or in fact one that's in my memory now, it did not work out. Even if we really believed in it, we made mistake and it did not work out. So figure out what's your DNA and hire accordingly. I was hearing a lot that, hire the people who are ready for the next chapter of the organization. We tried that, but I tell you what I found works better for Guardant is the people who have huge appetites to grow and they are committing to self-development even, not that, the whole ecosystem need to help them to basically grow them. And they are a great fit for the current chapter or maybe next chapter. But we didn't optimize for 10 chapters from today. And then have somebody who cannot contribute in this stage of the company today. And have the understanding that at the end of the day, hopefully a bunch of people would scale with you, but sometimes you're gonna figure out some of the talents are great for chapter 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you go to chapter 5, you need to adjust the team accordingly in order to be ready for chapter 5, 6, 7. And each chapter has its own requirement. But give the option and opportunity for people to grow and go to the next level with you.
What has changed in your mind about Guardant or how you run the company after being public?
That's a good question. So
I know there are limitations of, many things as an executive and a board member, but has there been any major difference in how you operate personally?
We had a very memorable IPO event, but I tell you, even the day after, it was almost, okay, it was a good moment. We celebrated. Now, what's next? I look at IPO mainly as just a phase. I don't even call it a milestone, but maybe you can look at it as a milestone. But if you're really thinking long-term about your story, IPO is not much beyond that. So if you think, okay, I'm gonna go IPO and I'm gonna get liquidity and I'm gonna be rich or I'm gonna go out. Yeah, there are some founders that actually they go IPO and right after they start succession planning and after 4 to 6 quarters, they come out and they liquidate their position. I haven't been that kind of founder and I cannot talk about those set of people. We want to be long-term in story. And as a result, I would tell you just IPO was a phase for us. Now, obviously, some stuff changed, like some of the formality of our board meeting changed. Like, when I go with my other hat of the chairman of the board of Guardant, some of the requirements of how to run that meeting actually changed. Some of the public disclosure has changed. Like, we needed to very quickly learn about what do we need to do for SARS. We went IPO 1.5, $1.6 billion market cap, and very quickly we passed 5 billion, and we were in a totally different category in terms of what a mid-sized cap company needs to do on the filing and some of the compliance side. We needed to go and learn a bunch of stuff very quickly again. So I think on the compliance and stuff, many things has changed. Many things become more formal. Information sharing is a lot more transparent and more frequent. Operation, I don't think we changed a lot, because a couple of years before IPO, we were practicing to run Guardant as a public company in terms of our operating plan, projection, 3-year planning, while we have quarterly focus areas and quarterly planning, so a bifocal vision of short-term versus long-term. We had, we developed some of those muscles, and I really encourage for people who are thinking to go IPO, practice acting as on a public company a few quarters before you go there.
I have a question from one of our attendees. Sultan is asking, Amir, what would you say was the most important value habit that you have that contributed to your success?
Habit?
Yes, or values.
I say two. I don't get any credibility for it. I learned many lessons from some of the good philosophers in my home country, and I really believe in that if you do good to your community, you're gonna see a lot of good results as a result of this. And I tell you, this social impact has been the DNA of the way I operate, the way Guardant operates, and the way our management team operates. And I've seen a lot of good value in it. So if I translate it to, many other fields, social impact is not just patients and cancer and making sure people don't die and, have a healthy and healthy life, but trying to really be a customer-oriented entity and trying to add value. At the end of the company, when you look back, you say, I've done this, and many people's life got better as a result of the sweats I put into this story. Second, maybe on a habit side, one thing that really helped me is, I think I talked about this in other setting too, a nightly journal taking. Like, I have a set of goals that I want to do every day. And at night, I don't sleep till I do some kind of an assessment of how that day went, good and bad. Whatever goal I had, did I achieve it or not? And rethinking and analyzing the day. And that has helped my business and even, personal life tremendously. So I encourage people to do that. Maybe if I want to add one more thing that, I tell our management team very frequently, don't make your calendar to go from meeting 1 to meeting 2, meeting 3. I learned this from, other business leaders, and I'm exercising it and have seen tremendous value in it. Block your calendar 60 to 90 minutes every day just for yourself. Just for yourself, for your self-development, for catching up, or any other thing, and be rigid about it. If I can do it, I'm pretty sure vast majority of you guys can do that.
I have a question here from PJ. He said, what is the biggest challenge that Guardant is currently facing over the next year in terms of strategy and execution?
So, I think each cycle of the business has its own set of challenges, but our biggest challenge at this time is scaling up fast and keeping our culture the same. So we are a company that, I think we are about 1,000 people, but we are 300 behind in our hiring plan. And very soon we are going to pass 1,500 to 2,000 people. It's very hard to scale this fast, recruit top talent. Don't settle on like B- quality kind of talent just because you want to add people. Onboard them very effectively and still work the same way that we believe Guardant needs to work. Like an information that actually we talked with our management team 2 weeks ago was 50% of our resources at Guardant are here less than a year and a half. And oh my God, by end of 2021, 2/3 of our people could be at Guardant less than 18 months. And still, they need to operate the way we believe Guardant needs to operate. So I think scalability has a lot of fun, exciting stuff associated with it, but a bunch of aspects of it is very challenging.
I have a question from Sahar. He said, what kind of breakthroughs need to happen in the field of genomics and AI that the sensitivity in your test can increase?
So one aspect of it is data generation. So more and more we generate data, not our learning algorithm gets better, which just naturally happens, but we understand the biology better. So not only a black box machine learning AI tool could get better, but also our understanding would generate some additional supervised improvements on top of that that I value tremendously. So some aspects of it just data generation over time. Like right now, we have data from over 200,000 patients, but I believe within the next few years, we are going to have data from over 1 million patients, and that would help tremendously. The other side is when we understand the biology, we look at new type of information from the same set of molecules. Like for advanced cancer in early days in 2013, 14, we were just looking at the sequence of a piece of DNA. Now, fast forward, I don't know, 7, 8 years after, not only we look at the sequence, we look at chemical modification of the backbone of that sequence, and we look at some of the structural changes of that DNA. I don't want to go technical, but just since we understood the biology and we captured data, we are looking at some of these biomarkers more comprehensively. I think that evolution just happened over time.
Very interesting. I actually exchanged messages with your co-founder, Helmi, yesterday. I said, Helmi, what kind of question I ask? Is it any good story that I should ask AmirAli? And he said, ask Amir about the patient you helped very early on with your test. And I think he or she had a pancreatic cancer. I don't know if you recall or not. He said he should share that story.
So we have actually many patients. This particular one he's referring to.
This is the first patients we helped with our test that was initially diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. It's a cool story.
Oh, yeah. I agree. Oh, he has a better memory than me. Yeah, actually, we had a patient, and this is, let me set some context. Like, this is back in 2014. We were saying, like, with a blood test, we can detect tumor, and oncologists were thinking, like, you're talking sci-fi language. Like, what do you mean? Like, I need that piece of tumor, and you're saying with just a blood test. So put the context like that. Not today that, our test is in standard care, guideline committees, and so forth endorsed it. So we had a patient who got we got the blood sample, and the diagnosis was pancreatic cancer. We ran our test, and we found a mutation that did not match with what you expect from pancreatic cancer. We contacted the doctor. Doctor was, in fact, a technology enthusiastic and early adopter. So he listened to us. He didn't say, I told you this thing is weird. But, kind of really thought about it. And we helped the patient to go and do further tests And I believe the patient got reclassified as a lung cancer. And oh my God, that was a huge change in the way the patient got treated. And the patient who could have, you know, based on the treatment that we recommended, you know, I don't know after all these years what happened to that patient, but saw a huge benefit, And if that patient was getting treated as a pancreatic cancer, that would have been criminal.
Wow.
We have many of these kind of patient stories, patients who, and, you know, just expand that to customers. If you do a white glove service to your customers and you really measure your success by happiness and success of your customers, you can move mountains. You can move mountains.
If there are many entrepreneurs on this conversation now listening to you, if you are going to recommend an entrepreneur who understands healthcare or biotech to start the company, what are the opportunities you see that if you were not doing Guardant, you were doing it yourself?
Oh, I say like in the diagnostic and therapeutics, diagnostic, or in general, the whole biotech area, it's a land of untapped.
Well, can you be more specific? Give us a little bit more specific kind of the guidance.
So we are trying to do early cancer detection, right? Is there any good solution for early neurological disease detection, Alzheimer detection, Parkinson detection? Not really. Are there good therapeutics for them? Not really. But there are some activities in the field now that if you can detect Alzheimer early, in fact, with some of the intervention, you can delay severe Alzheimer by years, and that would be huge. Take it to MS. There are many diseases that, in fact, the untapped opportunity in them is huge. It's way above oncology. Just look at what's happening in this field, even with the basic diabetes, right? So again, opportunity is huge in biotech. And in fact, the right mindset, people who are willing to devote their life, their career into this field, I would tell you the amount of competition is actually much more reasonable. Since it's hard, it's a niche application. So there are not many people who can do it. The TAMs are big, and more importantly, the society and community benefit is obviously vast. So this is the basic stuff. Okay, like, you know, detect this disease early. Also, I would encourage people to look at what's happening in health IT and digital health, especially in these days that telemedicine, you know, the whole field got forced to really do a serious experimentation with telemedicine. And I bet you telemedicine is not going to die as a result of this experimentation. I think there would be a lot of opportunities in digital health and health IT as well.
That's excellent. I have one last quick question, but I'm wondering if you want to share anything you want to share with the audience.
Maybe I ask this question that, hey, what you wish you knew earlier days that nobody told you?
Okay, what is that, AmirAli, to you?
I say the answer is like, people told me, but I just didn't believe it, or I ignored it. And the fact that when you're becoming an entrepreneur, you're committing 10 to 15 years in a story. If you really want to become a category definer and really go deep into scaling the story, be ready for it. You know, do something that at least you have some passion for, but also you're ready to spend 10, 15 years of your career on it. You know, if you're gonna fail, you're gonna fail. You can have a quick exit. But if you're successful, you don't want to come out. You want to maybe take it all the way. Be ready to spend 10 to 15 years of your life. So make sure you're doing the right thing. Sometimes when I talk to founders, I asked them, okay, you have this idea, but do you see yourself doing this for 10 more years? And sometimes I'm not getting the right answer from them.
Yeah, that's a great test. That's a great honest test anybody question can ask, which is great. I was going to ask this last question, but somebody else asked also. So, but I'm going to conclude this conversation to ask you, what is your favorite Persian food?
Oh, I like korma sabzi a lot, and actually food which I don't know if it's the roots are Persian or not, but because souffle, it's I don't even know how to describe. It's kind of maybe Persian lasagna, but it's not lasagna. But korma sabzi, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, AmirAli, thank you so much. I actually think we are just so lucky to do what we do, and mainly just having the opportunity to work with people like you who are really determined to change the world and make a better world, really. And I think what Guardant Health has achieved is it's just so priceless. I just want to thank you again for your time. I hope that I can see you maybe for a walk, but thank you again and keep up the good work.
Thank you. And, to your point, founders, when you're picking your VC, those are the partners who are going to be with you for this 10, 15-year kind of journey. Pick the right ones. Like Pear was in our seed round, A round, B round, C round. I think all the rounds we had Pear next to us, Sequoia, Khosla, SoftBank, Lightspeed. Pick the investors who are going to add value, and you can spend time with them for a decade or more. So thanks for all the support from Pear and Pejman yourself. We really enjoyed having you part of the story, and we value this relationship and friendship. Best of luck to everybody. Stay safe.
AmirAli, thank you so much. Good day. Bye-bye.